Welcome back, warrior. We are reading Numbers chapter 20, and the preface says, or the chapter heading summary says, directions are given for the sacrifice of a red heifer. The water of separation is used for purification from sin. Ceremonial unclean persons are sprinkled with the water of separation. Okay, then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the first month, and the people abode in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. Oof. It's been a while since we heard from Miriam, but she died. I wonder if she was old already, but I wonder if the leprosy just wore her body out, because she only had it for 7 days, but if you put your body in that much trauma for that long, it wears you out, Okay. And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. And the people chode with Moses and spake, saying, would God that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. Okay, how many times have we now read this part? Feels like anytime things get hard, they're like, we should have just died. Or we should have stayed. Well, we should have stayed. First, it's like we should have stayed in Egypt. Then it's we'd rather die. I think that I must do this too, because I don't think that they put it in the Bible and kept it so many times for no reason. Or just to make us think that the Israelites were weak or whatever. I think they put it in here because it is a normal human thing to do, to murmur and to think and to always think on the past and I wish we would have done that, or coulda, woulda, shoulda from our past, instead of looking forward with Christ and seeing the possibilities that we have there. So anyway, I think that's definitely something that we can think about, that I can think about for reading all these things. Because I think it is hard. And it's not just because we're human, but because Satan exists, right? And because Satan is always trying to get us to forget about the Lord and to make us feel bad about where we're at. Excuse me. Okay. 4, why have ye brought up the congregation of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die there? And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt, to bring us in unto this evil place? It is no place of seed, or of figs, or of vines, or of pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink. Well, yeah, they were supposed to go to the other place, right? Hello? Did we not remember what happened in Canaan? And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly out unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the rod. So yeah, what's interesting? It's like the Lord wasn't giving him a lecture. How many times are you guys going to come to me with the same story, right? Just ask for what you need and have faith, instead of being wish we were still in Egypt. Wish I would have died here in, it's better for us to have died, Same with Laman and Lemuel. Same in the Book of Mormon. It's not because you can't get creative with the way that you say things, but it's because Satan exists, and because that's the lies he tells us, and then we believe them, and then we say them, and then it's worse. Ugh. That's why they all sound the same, because Satan is not creative, you know? He just uses the same thing over and over, and it works. Don't change it if it works, right? Okay, so take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. Hold on a second. We are trying to get our walk going. If you forgot to turn it on, this is the time. Okay. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, so thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. Must have been like the longest line ever. Everybody single file. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, Because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with the Lord, and he was sanctified in them. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom, which we know is Esau, right? Okay, thus saith thy brother Israel, Thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us, and our fathers, right? Is that Esau? I think so. Anyway, and when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt, and behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders. Okay, so this is a ton of people walking through a specific country of land. So you know how like it's crazy right now that everybody's traveling and there's tourists? Well, yeah, like back in the day, when maybe like 10 years ago, we went to Portugal, and we could walk around all the castle area. In fact, we could just drive right up to the castle entrances, and the little cars would give us the tour, the audio tour of those, and then we could drive to the next castle and the next one and the next one. Well, now they don't let you do that, and you have to Uber yourself into these areas. And because of these little castle drive things that we did 10 years ago, we were able to walk around, like walk from one castle to the next, even though it was like a little bit far, but like it was fine, you know. But you can't do that anymore. You can only take Ubers to most of the castles now over there. And we were like, why is that? And I guess we were talking to one of the Uber drivers, and they were like, oh, because the tourism is so much and was wearing down certain areas and stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy, right? So anyway, it's basically the same thing. You know, people with cities or like little cities or whatever, they do not want a million people walking through their land to wear it all down. So imagine a million people walking through like a vineyard, or like, where was it that they said? Or their fields, like their fields would be destroyed immediately, you know. It's the whole like, don't walk on our grass type of thing, right? So anyway, so the Lord instructed Moses to take the rod, bring forth water out of the rock. Moses gathered the Israelites, and Moses' frustration was spoken just before the miracle. And then the water came forth from the rock. So his frustration said, "Here now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock." Right? So the miracle came, but Moses had a moment of weakness and had taken credit for the miracle. The miracle could have been an opportunity to sanctify the people and bring them to the Lord. Therefore, the Lord punished Moses. I never realized that was a punishment, but that makes sense, because he's like, "Oh, you said this was you, so we're going to punish you. You're not going to be able to enter the Canaan either. You won't be able to enter the promised land." Okay, President Kimball, and is it the last week of school next week or what? Okay, President Kimball taught, Moses failed to realize that the recorder was turned on when he said to the continually complaining children of Israel, crying for the flesh pots of Egypt, "Here now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock." He was reprimanded because ye believed me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. Moses had integrity in great measure, but in that unguarded moment, he had presumptuously taken credit for the Lord's miracle and was forbidden to enter the promised land. End quote. President Spencer W. Kimball, faith precedes the miracle. So Israel's constant murmuring had gotten to Moses, as it would anyone, because we're like, the teenager complaining is the worst, right? Consider how their murmuring had impacted their faith and how they were becoming. Okay, so I think what's crazy is that even the best of us can be worn down like that. And it was an unguarded moment for Moses. And what's interesting is you can tell that it wasn't like he was trying to take credit for it, because I think when he said, "Must we fetch you water out of this rock?" I think he meant like him and the Lord, which is totally understandable because him and the Lord are doing things and they're like best buds. But the people, it's like how it appears, how it looks, right? That is what we need to be careful of, how it looks to others. I know it seems like, no, you can't control what other people think, and it doesn't matter, but yada, yada, yada. But how it looks to other people really does matter when you're not giving credit to where credit is due. And this was the Lord providing this miracle for them. And he could have said, "Must the Lord provide you water out of this rock? Here now, ye rebels." He could have said that. And then it still would have been the Lord that was providing the water. And who knows, maybe it would have been a little bit different, right? But did you see how the Lord didn't reprimand Moses or the children of Israel when he was giving this blessing that he could do for the Israelites? He didn't complain. He didn't reprimand Moses for anything, right? And he was just like, "Okay, here, we're going to do this water. We're going to do this thing for you. So tap the water, tap the rock. You're going to get the water. It'll be great," right? Like, he didn't do the whole yelling at the teenager thing, But Moses did, but then Moses didn't give that obvious credit to the Lord. Okay. There's a quote from Elder Neil A. Maxwell. He says, "Murmuring seems to come so naturally to the natural man, because Satan, right? It crosses the scriptural spectrum of recorded complaints. We need bread. We need water. The needed military reinforcements did not arrive. Why did we ever leave Egypt? Why did we ever leave Jerusalem?" See the similarities between Old Testament and the Book of Mormon? A basic cause of murmuring is that too many of us seem to expect that life will flow ever smoothly, featuring an unbroken chain of green lights with empty parking places just in front of our destinations. When we're late, right? Murmurers have short memories. Israel arrived in Sinai, then journeyed onto the Holy Land. Though they were sometimes hungry and thirsty, but the Lord rescued them, whether by the miraculous appearance by quail or by water struck from a rock. Strange, isn't it, brothers and sisters, how those with the shortest memories have the longest list of demands. However, with no remembrance of past blessings, there is no perspective about what is really going on. This powerful verse in the Old Testament reminds us of what is really going on. It says, and thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. End quote. Elder Neil A. Maxwell, Murmur Not, October 1989 General Conference. Whew, pretty good. That is a good quote. Okay. And then, hold on. Okay, so this is what the reply said. Verse 18, and Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor, by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto this people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against me, or against my word at the water of Meribah. Okay, so Aaron's not allowed. So take Aaron and Eleazar, his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar, his son, and Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there in the top of the mount. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. Oh, sad. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. Okay, so Aaron died. So the Israelites were now living their life of wandering, and other nations will question their intentions and deny their passage through their land. It's true, though, because it's like, hey, can 1 million+ people come through your land? I don't know about that, you know? Imagine being a king and having millions of people want to pass through your kingdom, right? All at the same time. That's the thing, too. With traveling, at least travelers don't come all at the same time. But these people were all like trying to come all at the same time. What a risk that would be for them, right? Will they drink all the water, right? Because seriously, is it a trap? Will they come in and try to take our land from us? This was a very large wandering group. What a threat that must have felt like. At the end of this chapter, Aaron was near death, and it was time to pass his position to his son Eleazar. Aaron was the high priest, and he needed to pass the sacred clothing on to his son. This ritual meant that Eleazar was now the high priest. Notice what this Ensign article teaches. Richard O. Cohen says, the ephod was an article of sacred clothing worn by the high priests of the Levitical priesthood. The Lord directed that they were not to wear ordinary clothing during their service, but they were to have holy garments made by those whom the Lord had filled with the spirit of wisdom. These sacred garments were to be passed from father to son, along with the high priestly office itself. End quote. Okay, it's by Richard O. Cohen. What is an ephod? Ensign, December 1973. Okay, now we're going to read the Read It, Live It. And this is supposed to be covering 20 and 21, but it's from chapter 20. So it's verse 11. It says, "And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank. The people were thirsty, worn from the wilderness. They cried out for the 100th time. And again, God answered. Water didn't just come, it came abundantly." Right? So drink deeply is the challenge. Love that. And let's stop our murmuring, Let's try, and instead of murmuring when something bad happens, and this is what I'm going to try to do, instead of murmuring when something bad happens, I'm going to try and say that I can do that with the Lord, right? Because it is hard to do those things and to stay positive through the hard stuff. I have a gratitude journal that I've been working on recently, and it's actually been really amazing. I have to at least put 3 things that I'm grateful for every night. And it's been really life-changing. But I've started to add more stuff, and I'm like, I just don't have enough space to add all of the things I want to add, which is good. So anyway, that's awesome. So until Numbers chapter 21, stay strong, warrior. I was just thinking, if we really can do all things through Christ, and we believe that, then we definitely wouldn't murmur, right? Let's just not murmur if we really believe that about Christ. If we believe that we can do all things through him, there's no reason to murmur.